I know you want to become an unapologetic Muslim. I know you want the confidence to be able to look yourself in the mirror and say, yes, I am a Muslim. Alhamdulillah. I know you look up to the people who are clearly unapologetic Muslims like Umar bin Khattab, radiallahu ta'ala anhum, Khalid bin Walid, and Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. But there's a problem. You don't know how to. You watch Islamic lectures, you watch podcasts, you learn, and you get motivated. But then, after 2 days, you're the same again because of friends, family, social media, society, and the doubts you have about Islam. One of the earliest memories I have is me watching a series on Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. I always wanted to become a great Muslim like Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi, Tipu Sultan, Khalid bin Walid, Ghaznavi, but I didn't know how to until the year 2018, the year I started using the app called YouTube. There, I found something that is clearly the fastest way to become an unapologetic Muslim. And today, I'm going to tell you exactly that. But before that, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Odd, and I'm someone who has been on Muslim self improvement for more than 3 years now, and someone whose mission is to help the Ummah by doing and bringing people on Muslim self improvement. Now, let me ask you, why do you think you are not an unapologetic Muslim? Is it because of the friends you have? Is it because of like your family pressure or something like that? Is it because of social media, movies, games, and all of that stuff? Or is it because of society and all of that stuff? Why are you not an unapologetic Muslim right now? Your answer is something along those lines. It's because of my friends, family, social media. Like everybody tells us not to. Like I don't know how to, but my answer is different. My answer is you are the problem. You don't know much about Islam. You don't have enough knowledge. And no, I'm not going to tell you in this video to like gain knowledge about Islam and that will like make you an unapologetic Muslim. Though I'm not saying that you should not do that. No, like clearly you should do that every single day. As a Muslim, it is your duty to gain knowledge about Islam every single day. But I think there is even a better way. But before I tell you about that, I need to explain something to you. Let's say there was a lion in the jungle, and the lion, as a cub, got separated from his tribe from other lions, and he grew up besides hyenas. You know clearly the difference between hyenas and lions. Lions live their life like kings because they are the kings of the jungle. But hyenas, they are the cowards of the jungle. They are at the like lowest level of social hierarchy in the jungle. But because that lion lived and grew besides hyenas, would he act as a lion or would he act as a hyena? When he goes out to hunt with the other hyenas, how would he act? He would act like a hyena, even though he is a lion, but because he is living with and he has grown up with besides the hyenas, he is now acting like a hyena. But let's say one day they have gone out to the hunt, and the lion sees a glimpse of how the lions hunt. Because if you don't know, when lions hunt an animal in the jungle, the lions are the first ones that get to eat. Then after them is like tigers, then after them is like cheetah or something like that. And then hyenas are the ones that like get to eat the like at the last. So because the hyenas are sitting and watching the lions how like when they feed on the animal they have hunted down, the lion sees that they are just like me. And what would be the reaction of the lion who is living with the hyenas when he sees that this is how the lions hunt? He would clearly be amazed. And what changed the attitude of the lion? When he found out about his kind. In other words, when he found out about the history of his own people. And so the thing that will make you an unapologetic Muslim is learning about history. And before you want to click off, let me tell you that Ibn Sina was a Muslim scientist and he gave us the Newton's first law 600 years before Newton did. You were never told this. He is the father of modern science. You should know that the cities of Baghdad were lit at night Long before there were like street lights or anything like that, they used oil lamps. Ibn Sina was also the person who told us about Big Bang, and he called it necessary being. And he told us about this 1000 years before we discovered the Big Bang theory. And then there was another Muslim scientist known as Ibn al-Haytham. And he was the one who gave us this scientific method that consists of, I think, 6 to 7 steps. And all of us were told that the West, like I think it was an Hungarian scientist or something like that, that was the person who came up with this scientific method. No, he was the person who came up with the scientific method the second time. The person who first invented the scientific method was a Muslim scientist named Ibn al-Haytham. He was also the person who told us about the Kepler's law 500 years before Kepler made it. He was also the person who made optics, who made lenses. He was also the person who reinvented the camera obscure, but the version he reinvented, it was better than, like, the first one was, I think, made by Lao Tzu, but it was really bad. So he was the person who reinvented the camera. And then there is Al-Barani, who gave us the circumference of the earth. And there was a Muslim scientist, I think it was Ibn Sina or Ibn al-Haytham. He told us that every single object exerts gravity. It was not the Western scientists who gave us the concept of gravity. It was the Muslim scientists. Haytham was also the person who told us that light has a certain speed, a finite speed, and he was also the person who told us that light can be broken down into its constituent waves. And then there was Al-Farabi. He told us, he translated the idioms of Aristotle. And if you don't know, Aristotle used to teach in idiomatic language. But then when Muslims came around, after 1000 years of Aristotle, everybody had forgotten those idioms, because as languages change and as time changes, idioms also change. And even the Greeks, from where Aristotle was, they didn't even know what these idioms meant. But Al-Farabi translated every single one of Aristotle's idioms. In this way, with the knowledge we have about Aristotle and his teachings, they came from us Muslims. We were the ones who translated them, not the West. And then there was another guy named as Al-Khwarizmi. He was the one who came up with algebra. He was also the person who came up with the Arabic numerals. And if you don't know, Arabic numerals are the numerals which we use in everyday life. Like number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. The counting we have in the world right now, it's not a Roman or a Latin. It is an Arabic counting. If you don't know, the number 1 is from Arabic. It is not from Latin, English, or Greek or anything like that. Muslim cities also had sanitary systems, also had drainage systems in their cities 1000 years, 1000 years before the West had them. We were the ones who created coffee. We were the ones who created the first university of the world. We were the ones who created ice cream. And this is only science. War is completely different. And the thing which will change your life and the thing which will make you an unapologetic Muslim is learning about the war history of the Muslims. By the way, if you want to join the resistance and you really want to become an unapologetic Muslim and help the Ummah, check out the first link in the description, because I have an amazing plan for you. Now, you might be saying, okay, I get it. Muslims invented all of those things 1000 years before the West did. Okay, cool. But how will this make me an unapologetic Muslim 114 years or 1000 years after that? Because 1000 years is a lot of time. A lot of things change in 1000 years. Yes, I know. But I want you to do something. I want you to go on Chrome and search online what the Crusaders did when they conquered Jerusalem in the First Crusade. If you can't, I'll tell you. They conquered Jerusalem and then they killed every single person. Man, woman, child, old, Christian, Jew, Muslim, Zoroastrian, Hindu. I don't think there were many Hindus in Jerusalem. But they killed every single person. They killed even their own Christians. And then now go and search. What did Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi did when he liberated Jerusalem 90 or 92 years after the Crusaders had conquered it? He could have done that thing. He could have done the exact same thing. He could have killed all the Christians, all the Jews, all the Zoroastrians, all the Hindus living in Jerusalem. But instead, he liberated all of them. All of their knights, all of their soldiers who had become prisoners and slaves of Muslims. He gave those Muslims money by his own pocket, and he liberated them, and he sent them to cities which were controlled by the Christians and the Kingdom of Jerusalem and other states. This is the difference between us and them. When you learn about history, you truly find out that this was us, this is us. Yeah, I know, for the past 100 years, we are at a downfall. But you have to understand that history does not, things do not always remain the same. Yeah, our bad times might continue for 40 more years, 50 more years. They might even continue for 200 more years. But there will come a second rise again. There is no doubt in that. So if you learn about history, you will know that this is us. And if you want to know something, and let me blow your mind with this piece of information, go and search online Rambam, Rambam, and Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. Before you go and search about Rambam, let me tell you who he is. Rambam was a Jewish rabbi, and the level, you want to know his level, he wrote down 12 or I think 13 points, and those 12 to 13 points are so important that every single Jew in the world wakes up and he reads them every single morning. He is one of the top rabbis of Judaism. And you want to know something? He was born in Spain, not under Christian rule, under Muslim rule. He was born in Andalus. He gained knowledge in an Islamic school, what we call a madrasa. And you want to know something about him and Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi? He was the personal doctor of Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi when he was trying to liberate Jerusalem from the Crusaders. A Jew was a personal doctor of Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi when he was trying to liberate Jerusalem. Rambam was not the personal doctor of Baldwin IV, who had leprosy, or I don't know what the disease is named. He was not the personal doctor of Renaud de Chatillon. He was not the personal doctor of any of other I don't know. Let's take Richard de Loinhart, which I like to call Richard the Mice Heart. He was not the personal doctor of any of those Christian leaders. He was the personal doctor of Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. And you want to know something more? When the Reconquista started, if you don't know, this is a term used the Christians used, and this they use it that when they started to reconquer Spain from us. And so when they if you don't know, Muslims had conquered nearly around 80 to 85% of Spain in the past. And when they started to reconquer Spain from us, the term they use is Reconquista. And when they started Reconquista, the man who was leading the Muslim armies in jihad against the Crusaders and the Christians was a Jew. In other words, the chief of army staff of Al-Andalus, a Muslim state, was a Jew. And you want to know something? What Ferdinand and Isabella, the Christian ruler, the Christian king, who finally reconquered Spain from the Muslims, what he did after he conquered Spain from the Muslims. There were a lot of Jews living in Spain, and after he reconquered Spain, he issued a decree to either kill all of them, or banish all of them, or mass convert all of them, all of the Jews. No Jews are allowed to live in his kingdom. And so they call us anti-Semites. Huh? We were the ones who created the Treaty of Umar, radiallahu ta'ala anha. And you want to know something? Not a single Muslim ruler in the past 1400 years has violated the Treaty of Umar. If you don't know about the Treaty of Umar, it is the treaty Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anha signed with the Jews, and with by this treaty the Jews were allowed to come and live in Jerusalem and pray in Jerusalem and all of that stuff, because the Roman Empire had banished them from the city of Jerusalem. And when the Muslims reconquered and liberated Jerusalem from the Roman Empire, our caliph at that time, Umar bin Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anha, formed the Treaty of Umar, and not a single Muslim ruler has since violated this Treaty of Umar. And I don't need to tell you that the Jews have done that. And as your actionable step, as something I want you to do research on, go and do research on pogroms, Pogroms, in medieval Europe. You will find out who is the anti-Semite and who is not the anti-Semite. Now, when you learn history, you find out that this was us. This is us. This is how we are supposed to be. You no longer have doubts about Islam, because you know that Islam was the thing that took our ancestors to that level, and Islam is the only thing that can take us to that level again. Now you might be saying, okay, how do I learn history? Before that, let me tell you how I learned history. The first place I learned history from was my father. I don't know if he is watching this video or not, but I don't have words to explain how he changed me. How the person I am is because of him. I have no words. Let me explain it. He put a fire in me that still glows to this day. He was a person who introduced me to Islamic history, and me getting introduced to Islamic history was, I think, one of the best things that could have ever happened in my life. And the second way I learned history was by a series known as The Tigers of Islam. And you want to know something? My father was the one who introduced me to this series as well. I think I was 5, 6, something like that, something along those lines. And my father, he told me about this series, and he downloaded it in our laptop. And I used to watch this series. It had I think 7, 8 episodes. All of them were on different Muslim heroes. The one I used to watch the most was on Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. I think I watched that episode easily 100 times. Easily. It was on Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi's life, his start. I think I'm going to rewatch that. If you want to watch this series, which I know is by a person known as Zaid Hamid, and he is a controversial figure these days. But if you go and watch that series, first of all, it is an old series. And then secondly, a lot of it is truth. Some things I think he has exaggerated in the series, but it will change your life. It changed mine when I was 5 to 6 years old, and I think I'm going to revisit this series in the future soon. You will not be able to find this series on YouTube, because YouTube does not allow you to upload full movies or something like that. But if you go and search online, just on Chrome, the Tigers of Islam, Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi, Tigers of Islam, it was Muhammad bin Qasim, and Tigers of Islam, I don't remember the rest of the series episodes, but the one I do remember with crystal clear is on Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi. And to tell you about the importance of this series in my life, if there was a piece of information that changed my life the most, it was this series, even more than self-improvement. Because self-improvement gave me the actionable steps. Muslim self-improvement told me, read Quran, pray 5 times a day, be kind, be good to other people, go to the gym, work on your mental health, eat clean, go and run, be in the sunlight. It gave me actionable steps. But I could have only taken action on these actionable steps if I had a solid base. And this series formed that solid base. I watched this series at the age of 5, 6, 7. I didn't watch it just once, as I just already told you. And I found out about self-improvement at the age of 15, 16. During all of that time, the base still was there. And the third way I learned about Islamic history was through a madrasa. You might not like this, but this is the truth. Because there's just no way for you to replace an Islamic school by a normal school. Because you have to understand that an Islamic school is a bazillion times better if you want to get better in your Islam than a normal school. Heck, no, normal schools even destroy your level of Islam. If you are not careful while going to the normal schools, especially if you are like in co-class and all of that stuff, if you are not careful, that is hell for your iman. It will burn your iman. If you want to learn from these places, you can do that. But now let's talk about how can you learn about Muslim history. First of all, I would say the best place to learn about Muslim history is madrasa and books written by Islamic people, not by like Christians or something like that. Because you have to understand that when Christians write about Islamic history, of course they are going to be biased to like make sure that like Christians are like the good guys and like the Muslims are the bad guys. That's how humans work. We are always biased with the like with something we are attached to. Now, I can't really recommend you a lot of books on history because being honest, I have not read a lot of books on history, but I know that one of the best ways to gain knowledge about any area of life is to read books about that area of life. And I already have a very good foundation about history. Of course, I don't know everything, and there is still a lot of things that I can learn, but right now, my main focus is not about learning history. So I am not reading a lot of books on history, even though I am reading one, but it is a fictional type of book, and which is Dastan Iman Faroshoki, if you don't know. So, I can't really recommend you a lot of books on this topic, but if you can find any book on this topic and you want to learn about this, you want to learn about history, I will recommend you to do that. But make sure it is written by a Muslim person. And then the second way is um, there's a guy on YouTube named as Dr. Rai. Dr. Ray, Dr. Rai, I don't know how his name goes. His second name I can't really pronounce. It's really hard for me to do so. But like just go onto YouTube and search Dr. Ray Sultan Salahuddin Ayyubi or Khalid bin Walid. You'll be able to find it. It is he gives like 1 hour, 2 hour long lectures on like history and those topics. He doesn't like only upload videos on history, but a lot of his videos are on history. So that's how you can learn that. And the scientific stuff I told you about this like about in this video, from him I learned all of that stuff. And then just in general, like YouTube videos and series, I think like Youth Club has an ongoing series on like the history of Islam, and a lot of other people also have series going on like history of Islam, like Islamic history or even history of the world. And there is another channel that I'm going to recommend you. It is named Kings and Generals. But there's a caveat because it is owned by Christians or like non-Muslims. I'm not sure if they're Christians or whatever. I haven't talked to them or anything like that. But they are non-Muslims, clearly, I know that. So there's a caveat because in like some videos, they are going to be biased towards Christianity and like non-biased and like kind of against Islam. The guy tries his best to like have like a normal point of view, but you can see that he is biased like towards Christianity. And when you are learning about history, remember that history repeats itself. Always. Always history repeats itself. This means that if you know the history of the world, you know what happened in the past, and you know when you see something happening again, you know that something along these lines had happened in the past as well. And if you know about history, you know what was its results. Let me give you an example. Now, this is not the first time. Like the 20th century, after like World War One, is not the first time when there was a like non-Islamic state, a state controlled by non-Muslims in the Levant, in modern day Palestine. The first time non-Muslim states were formed in that area were after the First Crusade, and there were four of them, bro. Today there is only one. There was the Kingdom of Jerusalem, there was the County of Edessa, and then there was the Principality of Antioch, and then I think the last one was called County of Tripoli. Correct me if I'm wrong. And let me ask you, are any of them alive today? Is the Kingdom of Jerusalem, County of Edessa, Principality of Antioch, and County of Tripoli, any of them, any of those four states, alive today? No. So, I don't have to tell you, you just have to understand what I'm trying to tell you. And as I said, if you want to help the Ummah by doing and bringing others on Muslim self-improvement, check out the first link in the description. Otherwise, if you want to join the free communities, go and check out the second and the third links in the description. And so, if I get killed for telling you all of this, then you must carry on without me. And inshallah, I will see you in Jannah.